Hi, good day everybody. We are still in Technical English TE1091 and we are still in the topic lesson 2 which is writing skill. Today we're going to focus on 2.3 which is note-taking skill, which is the most important for any students or any lectures. Let us see. Note-taking techniques. Many times note-taking is one of the most difficult things for a student to do it effectively. It can be difficult for the students to know what to write, what is important or pertinent to the information, and how to structure their notes so that they easily can study in the future. Some might have a question by taking the time to understand why we need to take notes, how to do the best, how to use them, and we are able to improve our ability to make them truly useful. Note taken during the reading or lecture can be one of the strongest tools for a student that has the academic experience. Now, let us focus before we attempting to note taking. Let us focus a few questions. The first one, what is the effective note taking? There are a variety of note-taking techniques, but which one is the most effective for your situation? Next is how can I take good notes in class or from written text? That means when your lecturers are giving their lecture, how to take note from that verbal information and how to take notes from a text, from a book text or from your notes and take that note. And it is different for each. Is it different? Why? Let us see. And what is the overall goal of my note taking? Each of your note that you have, you must have an aim, a goal, so that when you review later, you know what you have to focus on. Next is how I do study and what should I include in my notes to help this process. And this is what you have to question. It's a very important question. And finally, how is the class that I'm taking taught and how should I take the notes based on this? Why do we take notes? The first thing is we take notes to summarize. It means the whole book, the whole notes you take and filter it into the most important point and make it into a small text which is easier for you to remember only the important points. Next is to highlight important information. It means you might use highlighter or you might just just make a box of for it or just take that particular sentences or the phrases and put it into your notes, which is to highlight the important points only, and most importantly is to review and study later, and that is the real aim of why we do take notes. Now let us focus on what should be included in note taking. The first reason why is to gather the pertinent information. It means what subject or what chapter are you covering in that class. Look on your syllabus. For example, if you have a syllabus, look into the syllabus. What are the information or what are the chapters they're going to cover on it? And any information that is presented and pertains to that area, it's called pertinent information. Next is the valid information. Before including the information in the notes, make sure the information is valid. Valid information is information that is accurate, reliable, and there is no mistake or errors can be made. The reason for this is that information is invalid, it can lead to a wrong decision. So make sure the information that you are putting into your note is valid and accurate. Next is the question you have. Before you take notes, you should have a few questions. These include questions you have about things you don't understand and the topics that you need clarification on later. Perhaps they may even include questions about how the points pertains to the subject. Account for anything that will prompt your memory later when you reviewing your notes. So make sure you have few questions about what is the topic about, what is the what if happened this. So you might use these five W's: why, where, when, what, and also who. Okay. Next is ideas. While you are on your note taking, you might have pop out ideas. So write down the ideas that you come up with during discussion in the class, from points to read in the text, or even ideas for an upcoming papers or exams. You might have, oh, they might have this question, oh, they might ask this question. So all these ideas that pop out at the moment, please take note. Next is verbal clues. Verbal clues. This may include clues from the professor about the future exam or the future implication of the material on the concept you will study later. For example, while your lecturer are giving their lecture, have you come across where the instructor or the lecturer might say something like, "Does anyone know how this happened?" Or they will pause. Sometimes they will pause after a certain sentences. They will pause, like for example, that is the verbal clues all about. So make sure you take note it. You need a very good listening skill for you to come across these verbal clues. Next, what you have to include in the note taking is points to study later. This is also include can be the ideas, the concept you need to more review or grasp on, or the points that the professor indicate will be more covered on the exams. So make sure you know the points that you need a review. Next is the thing that you should include in your note taking is the source where you get this note from. It can be your lecturer, the book, or the author of the book. So knowing the lecturer can help pinpoint information, important information, or highly testable material. Even if they simply repeat material from the texts, always be prepared to take notes and listen. There may be clues in the lecture about exams, assignments. Some will amplify the textbook, and this is more often the case, which means carefully attention and get a good note-taking skill. This will ensure success in the courses. Others will present new information, typically not in the text. And in this case, the class notes will be the most crucial tool in this mix. So the lecturer is pointing out what she or he thinking is important. It might come out for your exam. So make sure you take. And while you are doing your note taking, the final thing is make sure you have your examples or tangents. It may like appear that your professor is off subject, but more than likely examples in a real case situation scenario will be given. It's most important is to discern between example that illustrated points to importance and tangents that will contribute. You must come across with the lectures where they used to say, for example, and they will give you a story, they will give you example or model. So make sure you take note the story and just jot it down in your notes so that it's easier for you to review and recall back what they told in the class. Next is the specific order. For specific order is that you arrange your material according to the orders, for follow the books or at least the chapter order. This allows for a logical flow of information in your notes. For example, your lecturer might use that example and suddenly he jump out to this particular subtopic and back to this topic. So what you have to do here is you have to take note everything and rearrange the order of the notes that you have and the points that you have. Finally, last but not least, the thing that you should include in your notes is of course the handouts. These are always important tools to supplement your lecture. This question often come of handouts, otherwise they would be a waste of professor time, because they will include whatever and everything. For example, you have your handouts here, you might have a lot of information here and explain each of the point. So make sure you keep your handouts with you when you're doing your review and also taking your notes.